Yep.
Welcome to the Estacada City Council meeting. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. Can I get roll call, please, Sadie?
Counselor Blevins,
Here.
Counselor Dolezal,
Here.
Counselor Hill, here, Counselor McElroy,
Here.
Counselor Metcalf,
Here.
Counselor Tenbush,
Here.
and Mayor Drinkwine is absent.
Thank you. We have quorum. Okay, citizen and community comments. I got none online. None online, okay. I got one right here, Jim Moriarty.
Good evening, Mr. President, Council. My name is Jim Moriarty. I live in Estacada. I'm here this evening to bring up a few safety issues that are extremely important and time sensitive. First, about 2 weeks ago, members of this community conducted a Safe Routes to School walk audit at River Mill Elementary, Clackamas River Elementary, and Estacada Junior High. We found that within the school safety zones, it's recommended that we should have a new pedestrian flashing lights or rectangular rapid flash beacon and signage at the intersection of Northwest 3rd Avenue and Northwest Main Street, one at Northeast 6th Avenue and Northeast Main, and one at the intersection of Northeast 6th Avenue and North Broadway. These intersections were also recommended by the Estacada School District Reconfiguration Committee. And if any of those are priority, it would be right now, 3rd and Main. On February 13th, 2026, approximately 6 p.m., there was an expanded traffic collision at the intersection of Northeast 2nd Avenue and Northeast Main Street. There is a school pedestrian flashing light and signage at this intersection, but due to the lack of street lighting, the driver of the vehicle did not see the pedestrian. And in this collision, thank goodness no one was badly injured, but we really need to crank up the lighting in this town. Second, in regards to speed hump applications on Northeast Current Creek Drive and Southeast Oakview Lane. Northeast Current Creek Drive was denied due to the slope of the hill, but they're still experiencing speeding on that hill. Southeast Oakview Lane had a 20-mile-an-hour speed sign installed several months ago in the uphill direction, and it's had very little impact on the speed of the vehicles going up and down 4th Avenue and entering and exiting Southeast Oakview. My question on these applications are, we're going to reach out to the original applicants and get back on a status update on those. Third, last year, there was a stop sign placed at the intersection of Southeast Lawrence Road and Northeast Clayton Drive. This stop sign was stolen and replaced by a stop sign on an A-frame on the ground. This sign was also stolen. The citizens that live on Lawrence Road are concerned that vehicles do not stop at this intersection. And now Southeast Lawrence Road area to the north is being connected to the Current Creek development, that there might be significantly more traffic at this intersection without signage. All three of these issues require immediate attention. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Anybody have anything to add to that? Does anybody have anything to add to that? No. Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second. First and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Department and committee reports. City manager report.
I do not have a report. I will pass my time to Chief Turway if he has anything to cover.
I don't think we have anything new. We had a debrief from the flooding in December with Clackamas County Emergency Management. and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be as far as like coming out of our results. So it was really our time to bring up what the concerns were from the area out here, because one of the things I felt was lacking was the amount of information above Estacada. That was one of the concerns I initially brought up to the EOC as somebody who works in the EOC when these things happen was, hey, what are our concerns above the city? Because everybody was talking about the dams here and the water flow below the dams. And at the time, we were told there was no concerns above the city. And turns out there were multiple spots that flooded. The highway flooded in multiple spots, and then landslides, which they can't predict, right? Those are something totally different. So I brought up those concerns. And then one of the other things that we brought up, and we didn't do this time, I just don't know that anybody's ever contemplated this idea, but watching the river levels as they were rising and as communities were experiencing water. So we can have trigger points in the future of exactly what it looks like at the river level when a certain community is starting to see water coming into it. So that was something new that we put on the forecast for the future. Hopefully we don't have to deal with that anytime soon. But to really dial in, not are we going to maybe see some flooding in here, but hey, when the river hits this level, we know it's going to crest the banks here. Because there's really accurate river markers all along the river, all the way down into Oregon City. So the information's there, just nobody was tracking at where that actually happened. They have some general ideas of when things will flood, but we could be a lot more specific and give people a little more advanced warning. There is another debrief coming up that I'll be attending that I hope to have some more like actionable results, things that they're planning to do in the future. So stand by for that.
Okay.
The city's been really good. The deputies have been busy, but nothing out of the ordinary. Just, traffic violations. I watched some of the local Facebook pages and stuff, and people are like, wow, the deputies have really been hammering them. I'm like, good, slow down, right? That's what everybody has asked for. Traffic and public safety, the council, like get people to slow down. I mean, I hear you guys speaking about it here tonight already. And the deputies listen, right? They want to be out there and they want to be doing what the city is asking of them. We work for you guys. So we work for the citizens of the city, and school safety has been a huge priority, obviously, to everybody, and I love that. And so during the daytime is another piece that we've asked for, is for them to really focus on around the schools, slowing people down. Mr. Moore already talked about the Safe Routes to School walk audit. I was lucky enough to be part of that. And it is different when I get out of my car and walk through the neighborhoods, right? Sometimes I forget that I've been doing this job long enough to where I stay in my car unless I need to get out. Getting out and walking around gives you a whole different perspective. And so I had some good things to give to the deputies in the city to focus on.
Thank you. And I would say that your guys' presence has definitely been felt and seen, and we do appreciate it. So thank you very much.
John?
Yeah, go ahead.
Chief, I thought I heard that because you were part of that Safe Routes field trip or what have you, and you actually witnessed some bad behavior from drivers. Was there any kind of result or consequence of that?
You mean as far as like enforcement?
Correct.
So no, not that day. There was, like my role that day when I'm on foot, it's really hard to stop somebody, right? To stop a vehicle. Sure. So Deputy Butterfield was working that day, and I did have him address some things that we saw as they were happening. For instance, there was a young man riding a electric motorcycle in the skate park, literally jumping in the skate park while there are little kids riding their scooters. So he went and addressed that.
Right.
But no, it was more takeaways.
Sure.
We saw some things that I was surprised to see. There were some people that knew better, and so we've addressed that with maybe where they work.
So fair to say that you might have made some changes or recommendations to the rest of the force.
Yeah, some more directed patrols, like things that I could see that maybe they just don't see on a daily basis, or they do and don't have time to deal with, right? Because we have kind of one deputy at a time, unless the county deputies are in town. But the Deputy Butterfield was busy that day, all over. We saw him multiple times on our walk, driving around town, stopping vehicles and talking to people.
Sounds like there's a lot of good value from that walk, and maybe doing that on an ongoing basis, whatever the time frame is, as we grow and these new neighborhoods come on board. Sounds like a good idea.
I concur, especially with the school getting ready to switch where the kids are next year. I think it's going to be a lot more chaotic for people and parents. You're gonna have parents that are used to having all their kids in one school that are now trying to juggle going to two different schools depending on their age gap and different things like that. So I definitely think being ahead of this and thinking of it on the forefront is important. So yeah, great suggestion. Do you guys have, is there anything actionable coming down the pipeline that you could tell the community to be watching for or anything like that? Is there anything that we should be aware of on the peripheral?
Nothing I can think of offhand. We did launch, I mean, it's brand new, so there's really nothing on there, but we do have a Estacada Police Department Facebook page
Okay.
and Instagram page.
Awesome.
So we're gonna hopefully put information out on those. We'll share information that comes from the city as well, just another hub for people to get more information about the city or going on, or if we have anything that needs to be done. Yeah, so we don't have a ton of followers yet. It's a brand new page and we really don't have any content on there, but the county's PIO just set those up like 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago.
Awesome.
Chief, I was during the high water, the flooding stage. I was one morning driving to work, going down 224 and going through the curves. There was a couple of high water spots, and I was behind a deputy. There was nobody in front of the deputy. They were driving. They're the first to hit that high water spot. Do you know if Clackamas County has any plans to address that? Because that was a pretty dangerous. There's a couple of pretty dangerous spots where just in a cruiser, it was hectic. I mean, and I was driving a truck, so I felt a little more comfortable. But I mean, there's a couple of spots through there that there was a lot of water. I mean,
So I would love to say yes, but what we run into is the challenge of jurisdictions, right? That belongs all to ODOT.
yeah.
And so there's really nothing the county is going to address there. Those problems do get brought up to ODOT as we see flooding. I dealt with ODOT a lot up the corridor.
Yeah.
In the following days, because we had the highway had massive problems up
Yeah.
there. So those are problems that go to ODOT, and I believe the county has addressed them, but some of those are spots that you can't, there's too much water, right? And those, you're talking about like in the Carver Curves area.
Yeah.
There's so many low-lying areas and those big, massive flatland fields that once they're flooded, you address one area and it's just going to move down the road, 100 yards, 200 yards. So I don't know what they could do, but that would be a question for ODOT if there was anybody going to actually address it. I wish we could, but it's not our highway to address, if you will.
Awesome. Anybody else? Go ahead.
The last couple of meetings we've taught, and this might be for Elena, but regarding with the chief, we talked about maybe a place, be an office or something like that, where they could, with some signage, stop and do whatever it is. Has there been any progress on that?
No, I mean, we're looking into it and discussing it, but nothing concrete yet.
And have you heard anything about that yet?
It was brought up to me,
Okay.
so I'm aware of what you're talking about. I have some opinions about it if you'd like to hear.
Absolutely.
So
Please
one
do.
thing, and I think it's a common, I'll say a misconception, is that people think there's police at a police station. You don't want your police at the police station because it
Right.
means they're not out in the community. And so I fear what would happen if there was a designated spot is that there's going to be a building that's going to have a locked front door because there's nobody there. And our deputies come here to write their reports, eat their lunch, and then hopefully go back out and are in the community. And so as the city grows, I do think there is a need for that. But what it would probably take to be successful is having somebody like a community service officer who takes like phone reports, who could be there at a desk with an open door to be able to welcome people and answer questions and interact with the public. Because I like where your head's at. I really like the idea of having a place that people know to go. But I fear right now they're going to show up to a locked door and the lights turned off unless there's somebody there writing reports. Does that
Well, the
Makes
idea
sense.
behind it is they were talking me off the mountain because I wanted to hire 2 more deputies right away, which, is cost prohibitive. And so what's the goal? And the goal is presence, being visible. And so I don't know if necessarily looking for someone to be in there all the time, so much as having a place where there's a big sign that says whatever it says, but just another visual thing for the citizens to see regarding their police or whoever ends up sharing that office, something like that. That was the idea, wasn't just increasing visibility.
Any visibility is great. I love that. But like I said, I want the guys and gals that work out here to be out in the community. That's the
Sure.
visibility we can provide right now.
Right.
But what the city does is, I mean, we will support it. I just want you to be aware that it may not be a place that someone can show up, knock on the
Right.
door and have somebody greet them.
Right.
I appreciate your input on that as well. We all do. So thank you very much for that. What would it look like? So we did talk about, and Elena, this might be a question for you as well. We did talk about starting to look at adding an additional officer. What's the time frame on that? If we were to be able to do that from your perspective, that's now a new body that you're either hiring or pulling from somewhere. So realistically, if we were to do that, just why we have you here, what is that kind of time frame that we'd be looking at?
It's generally 12 months.
Yeah,
It's front loading the basically the hiring and backfilling of somebody that we're going to provide to the city.
Okay.
So it is a time commitment right ahead of time. And then, I mean, the contract cities have been a priority for the sheriff and the sheriff's office, making sure that they're staffing, that they're paying for, that they're getting what they're paying for. So once the cities have asked for that and gone down that road, then it's just hiring somebody to backfill that position, making sure they get through their training so we can place somebody in the city.
Okay. And are you receptive to that?
Well, the county is very receptive to that. Okay. The sheriff's office, I mean, our contracts with Wilsonville here and Happy Valley, when they ask for somebody, there's always a conversation to make sure that it's needed, right? That they're not asking for something they don't need, but ultimately it's the city's decision. And if we have that, if we commit to them, then we will provide them that body.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Chief. Okay, now we're moving to council business.
Now we still have committee.
Or excuse me, now we have committee and commission liaison reports. Do we have anybody from the committees here? Jim, you already presented.
Oh, no, this is for the,
This is for us.
yeah. you guys.
Okay. Councilman Blevins, we'll start with you.
I attended the fire board meeting. I don't have a lot to bring, but if any of them want to take care of my finances, they are like 20 months ahead. They are really good with their money. They're waiting on the substation remodel. I guess there was a map change. So they're just sitting, waiting for us basically on that. And then there's a board vacancy. That's it.
So I attended my first school board meeting and I actually had run for the school board back in the late 90s up in Vancouver, Evergreen School District. And I'm here to say things are different now. There's a lot of data. I think this first meeting that I went to was kind of a little unusual in that they were doing audits and that kind of stuff. And so I didn't get a chance to go into all of the data, but I will, the different charts and graphs and that kind of stuff. I will as time goes on. But I took a lot of notes, but I'll spare us most of it. But a couple of key things. One, right out of the box, they were very proud of the 92% graduation rate. I overheard one of the board members say that about 10 years or so ago, it was 38%. And the place was giddy with being happy with that result. And apparently there was a news story on KGW, and they were going to add a link to the school site so that people could access that link. They also a lot of conversation about the Safe Routes event, and then also the need for streetlights. And then I'll skip that. They did mention that the last couple of years, their expenditures have outpaced their revenue, but the bulk of that was on construction items. And then this was just an oddball thing, but apparently in the superintendent report, they no longer make tube lights. And so they're going to have to replace all the lighting. Yeah. Something like that. That's just one of those little tidbits. They got a however many months supply stash, but they no longer make those things anymore. And then I'll skip over a lot of this stuff. The last thing I'll say is that apparently there was a Senate bill, a new state test comes out. They have to do it 3 times a year. It's SB 141, the Education Accountability Act. And I wasn't exactly sure. I was just getting my legs in the committee, but it sounds like that if we don't hit goals, the state steps in, maybe. I'm not sure. And then they're also very proud of the fact, last thing, is they're also very proud of the fact that they have micro visits with educators from across the country to see what's going on in Estacada School District, because they're doing a lot of really great things. So a ton of information at those meetings and a lot of great news coming out of there. That was it.
Awesome.
I will have my first meeting this Thursday for the library.
Councilman McCollum.
The Planning Commission and the Economic Development Committee had a joint session and got to discuss how each of those committees can impact one another, looking at opportunities where they can repurpose zones or add new uses to zones to encourage economic development in those areas, to bring different businesses into areas that haven't developed on their own, looking for ways to better utilize some of the spaces in downtown, looking for opportunities for maybe some of the businesses that don't generate foot traffic, to find areas outside of the downtown area to open those spaces up for other opportunities. And it was an initial meeting. John LaGarza did a great job guiding us through it. And I think there's going to be a lot coming out of them working together. So it's good.
Councilman Timlish.
I don't have anything from my committees or commissions, but I did attend the volunteer training we did this week, and I was late, but I still had a great time, and I learned some stuff, and then there was a lot of stuff that was positively reinforced on how to recruit and retain volunteers. I think it was a great training. I think that the folks that attended had a good time, and I met a couple of people that I didn't recognize, and but I did see a lot of current Estacada volunteers. But it goes back to the same thing that we've been asking. Estacada desperately needs volunteers. We have openings on every commission and committee. And then we've got terms that are coming up real soon. The city needs volunteers to run. There's a lot of stuff that happens on a volunteer basis. Every single one of us that sits up here is a volunteer. And being a over 30-year volunteer for the city of Estacada, I really want to see Estacada get back to the point where we were 15 years ago, where you whisper the words, we need volunteers, and you have 10 or 15 people lining up. So I really want to get back to that point. And, like I said, that was a good start. I just hope we continue moving forward. And unfortunately, the loss of our communications person might put a hit to our website, the web page having volunteer access, but we'll get somebody in place, and we'll, hopefully that person can, get right back into it and, get the volunteer stuff up on the website. So.
Awesome. And I had the EDC meeting that followed immediately after the EDC and planning workshop. And they had some things to say about being confused on the vision of the leadership for the city, and asking us to start to look 10, 15, 20 years out rather than just short term. So the conversation moved towards what is our apprehension towards discussing the urban growth boundary, or looking outside of the urban growth boundary, and things along those lines. And so I was able to respond that we want to see the community involved in this, and that we don't get to decide when the urban growth boundary is moved, but it was something that was discussed. They said that we are, and I don't necessarily disagree with this, that we are residentially rich, but commercially poor. So one of the things that they talked about is starting to update our maps that we share, that we usually have up here when we're talking about zoning and things like that, to actually color code it for stuff that's currently being developed, stuff that was developed since that last thing. And then also looking at what inside of there is actually developable. There's sorts of terrain features and there's the wetlands and the different things along that lines. And so they were just saying with that, what do we really have that we can build on? And then what could we do in a vision sense to look at that? Another thing that was brought up was the hotels. Again, we talked about the hotel study, right? But they're really pressing on that if we had a hotel, it would drive more traffic, and that there's people commenting all the time that they're avoiding. I think Chair Carpenter said that he has people come to him saying that they avoid having tournaments and different things here because they know that we don't have the infrastructure for that. So they have asked that we do a joint workshop with probably planning and economic development and city council they want it to be in a public format, obviously, where people can weigh in, but they want this to be able to be something where we can get raw and real and have some harder conversations as well. And try to really hash out. They want to be able to challenge us on what do we see for the community and what direction are we trying to lead the community, and us be able to go back and forth with them on what their guidelines are and what exactly we'd like to see them driving at. It was brought up more studies. There's more studies on commercial property, available inventory, things like that. So, and then also PGE was there, and I was able to ask PGE about starting the conversation about getting us a liaison for businesses. Right now, their SOP is that they are supposed to check the website or call the number just like any other citizen, and that's the most update that they can get, because that's just all that they can do, when in the past, this community has had a direct representative that they could call, or a relationship with somebody that works in PGE that they can call, that can give them more accurate information. The business leaders in the industrial park had concerns about what do we do if we have 100 employees and we're trying to figure out whether we payroll 100 employees, we have night shift, different things like that, but we can't get a hold of anybody, or we can't get an accurate website update. So in this case, they sent an entire shift home because the website said that it won't come on until the next day. And then the power came on in 2.5 hours, which thankfully the power came back on, but at the same time, loss of production. They're also saying that there's support industries that are trying to come here with the conversation around how is PGE's support? And it's not enough, in short. It's not enough. That's what they're being told. So I do think that we may have to look to address PGE at a higher level. This is something that I know that staff is already working on, but that we might need to engage and take this and escalate this to the governmental affairs portion of this, and start to talk about other options and other ways that they can provide for our community to up the ante, so that one, we can bring businesses and provide more jobs for the community. So that was discussed a little bit at length as well. There was a lot discussed on that. And then they were talking about looking at the outdoor commercial and that zone, taking a look at that. What is that? Is it appropriate? Are those something that could be rezoned to a different type of commercial for different uses? So I'm pretty excited. That was my first time at the EDC meeting. I'm pretty excited with the work there. I think we have a tremendous opportunity with leaders of industry and in the community to work with people that are solution-based and that are willing and volunteering their time to help us creatively move the X to be able to provide more value to the community and to oncoming businesses. So it was a really good meeting, really robust, and I would be looking for, I think, a workshop coming fairly soon from that. Was that kind of the direction we were going in March?
For
maybe?
another joint workshop with where I think Evelyn will reach out to schedule something.
Yeah, so just for that to be coming, just so you know, they've asked to expedite that, and I agreed that I thought that that would be appropriate as well, so that we can get on the same page. So, all right.
Great.
Council business.
Council business. First up is awarding the contract for the membrane filtration system. This is for the water treatment plant upgrade. And I know we talked a bit about this at the last meeting when we talked about rates. And now we have Ed from Curran McLeod here, who will go over the membrane if you need a little more information. But I think it was good. We had three proposals that we reviewed, and they were all under the expected budget. So we're celebrating that.
Yes, honorable councilpersons and city staff, I'm Edward Hodges, president of Curran McLeod, and I'm the engineer of record on the ongoing water treatment plant upgrade project. And as Elena just described, we are working on the ongoing design for this significant upgrade on the city's plant. And one of the major elements of it is, if the council recalls, when I was here last, I discussed about that the new plant will utilize a more modern technology called membrane, which is somewhat similar to what is currently being installed in your wastewater plant. And so really the heart of the treatment plant upgrade is essentially a package plant that incorporates these membranes that clean the water. And it also, not only does it include the membranes, but it includes all the associated equipment that goes along: pumps, electrical controls, different other different systems for cleansing the membranes and making sure the facilities operate correctly. So it's a fairly complex piece of equipment, or it's actually a number of different equipment systems that come together. And being that it was of such importance to the city, we did a couple of things up front. The city staff were very generous with their time, and we went and toured a number of existing membrane plants around the state. We looked, I believe, at least half a dozen or more of these plants, and they were all of some of the most common membranes that are in use at this time. And those visits were actually, even for me, who's worked with this technology for 20 years, were extremely helpful. I think we had 4 different manufacturers that we looked at, and we learned a tremendous amount about what were the best aspects of the membrane systems, how these different membranes are performing in the market today. Some of these plants were almost 20 years old that we were looking at. So they had a long history. We could talk with the operation and say, well, how is this really working for you? So we came back with that. And then I used some of that knowledge gained on these trips, plus our own experience with this technology, to put together requests for proposals for the package membrane system. And the request for proposal was fairly complex itself. I don't know how many pages it was, Elena, but it was pretty thick. It covered every aspect of the system. And essentially, we sent them preliminary plans, and so they would provide the city, when they got this membrane, with a full system, not just, this is the part we're going to give you. It's like, this is it. We're going to give you this exact system. This is how it's going to fit in your building, more or less. This is how much it's going to cost to operate. This is how it's going to work. Just soup to nuts of what the city's going to get, because it's just obviously of such critical importance to the success for your project. So this proposal, the request for proposal, was advertised in January, and then the results came in on February 5th, I believe, my memory. And we had 3 proposers who submitted full proposals, and those companies, as you can see from your letter, are actually Area Filtra, which is a company that's been called Paul for many years, another company called Westech, and then a third company called Memcor. And as part of their proposal, the proposal they submitted were quite long. Some of them were several hundred pages, actually, because we not only asked, many questions about specific equipment, how things were going to work, all different types of systems, but we also asked them to give us specification sheets for all of the parts that were going to be in their system, so we could really look through them and say, okay, is this what we're looking for? So each proposal the city got was, 2-3 inches thick, and they were interesting to read on a Sunday night and a couple of other nights that I looked through them, and so did the city staff. The bottom line is, what we did to score these proposals is we didn't just function on cost, because while a system may have the lowest cost, there's a lot of factors, as I'm sure the commissioner can imagine, such as, operation and maintenance, longevity, performance of the system, power usage, and the like. So you might do all right up front with the cheapest, but you're going to pay a lot down the line if it's not the best system. So what we had in the scoring was we basically had, if I remember correctly, 6 items that we looked at. And one of the first was the reputation and the performance of these systems. We also looked at the distribution, how many systems were present in the 3-state area of Oregon, Idaho, and Washington. A couple other factors that we looked at, I'll just pull this out, even though I should know it. Time goes by and I forget, but they're important for you folks to just be aware of when I go over the conclusions. We looked at the quality and expected performance of the system. And also a really important one was we looked at what were these folks going to do? How are they going to install their system in the plant? They had to tell us, not we were going to tell them. And we also looked at the different capabilities, and most importantly, how much support they were going to give and what were their warranties, how long lasting were the systems. The last thing we looked at obviously was cost. And so of the 3 companies that submitted, the one that had the lowest cost actually did not win. And the 3 companies were, as I think I just said, Area, Paul, Westech, and Memcor. The cost for the Paul system was about $2.81 million. The cost of the Westech system was about $2,066,000. And then the cost of the Memcor was about $2,390,000. So one of the things that's very encouraging to me was that these numbers, I feel, based on my experience and looking at the complexity of the system, were incredibly tight. And they were also a lot lower than they were a year ago when we started looking into this prior to us starting on this project. I think some of the systems we looked at, one of the vendors was well over $3 million. And times have changed and their prices came down. In reviewing the submittals, it became apparent to us that one of the outfits that have submitted, Memcor, was really not qualified to do the work. And they submitted a proposal that was subpar, and it was missing some of the critical information that we needed. And it was really, they had no significant impact on the proposal process in terms of possibly getting the job. They were just out from the beginning. The other 2, Paul and Westech, were very competitive with each other. And in the end, the Paul system was selected. That does not mean that the Westech system wasn't good. It was quite good, and it had very good references. It met many of the requirements of the RFP. But the thing that came across to us in our visits and also in my experience of working with these systems for over 20 years is you go into these plants where the Paul membranes were in place, and the operators would just talk nonstop, as city employees who are there, like Elena can tell you, about the quality and the performance of the membrane. It just stood out of the 3, well above even at Westech, which is a company I've worked with a lot, a very good company. So it was obvious that Paul had the best membrane. And then in the criteria of having a certain number of plants of a certain capacity that are in the states of Oregon, Washington, and Idaho, they were far ahead of the other 2 folks who proposed. In particular, unfortunately, Westech didn't come close to them. They had 22 plants that met our requirements versus, say, Westech that had 4. And Memcor, I don't even know how many plants. Well, Memcor tried to put a plan in that wasn't even what we were looking for, which we were a little frustrated with, but that's why they lost and have a very low score. So our recommendation to the council and to the city was to award this proposal to Paul. I have worked around these Paul systems for almost 2 decades, well, more than 2 decades now, and I'm really confident that you've got the best system out there. And the interesting thing is that your price was 5% higher than West Tech. So it was out of the 3, it was the second price. So it was essentially the same. And so I'm very happy with these results, and I think that the project right now is off to a good start because of it.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Hodges?
Between those two, which ones, I think it was Paul, what is their turnaround time for support or anything, and where are they at? Are they stationed close or are they afar?
Oh my goodness. That is, Counselor, that's a great question. Interesting. Paul does not have the greatest service. It's good, but we got a lot of comments that they were okay. You know, they turned up, they delivered things, and they would generally perform up to standard. West Tech, by far of the companies, has outstanding service. They also have a warranty that's very good. Paul has a very good warranty. Their warranty is slightly better. But again, what it came down to is, while their service was not the best of the 3, it was adequate. And then again, the performance of the membranes was just so far ahead of West Tech that there was no way that we could have, using the scoring that we did, which I'm very comfortable with, that we could award to them. And so they will have good service. They will stand behind their products. But the best thing is once you get that system installed, you just don't have a lot of surface. They just run. And that's what all these other plants that we went to showed us. They said, yeah, well, these things, well, the city of St. Helens put these Paul membranes in 2006. You're supposed to change them out every 10 years and other aspects of the system. They're just changing them out now. They said, and they said, we really don't even have to. They work so well, but we figure we're well outside the warranty. You know, it's a 10-year warranty, and we'll just do it now so that we can get back within warranty and then go another 20 years operating on them.
So was the customer service, was that one of the metrics?
It was.
And I will clarify, when we talk to other operators at other plants, their complaints weren't related to the membrane itself. It was more like the software.
Yeah. Yeah, that's correct.
That, and so for Paul, they were like, the membrane, it's a workhorse. It works great. Sometimes there's software glitches.
Yep. Yep. And then sometimes they're a little, you know, their response was adequate, but it probably wasn't as good as the response for West Tech. Unfortunately, the West Tech membranes simply were nowhere near as good as the Paul. And the thing about the Paul systems is once you got them going, you just didn't have a lot of service because they just run. The whole system is well built, and then the membranes themselves are superb. There's no other way to really classify them.
Councilman McCullough.
Did you get any feedback on what amount of service was needed with the West Tech systems? Like, if they have great service, is it because they have a lot of opportunities to provide great service, or was it?
That's an outstanding question. Unfortunately, they have great service because they had to provide a lot of it. And I have also a lot of experience with their membranes. They actually had a membrane on the market initially, probably 15 years back, it just simply didn't work. It failed. To their credit, and we had a couple of plants that we put in with this, and we were, you know, told it would perform a certain way, and then it didn't. To their credit, they realized there was a problem. They came in, they replaced these membranes. They did a lot of upgrades since, but generally their plants required more service because there were more issues with the membranes and more things would go wrong.
So with that being said, is there a parameter of which there are provisions that could be made in place within our singular contract with them? Is it one is done for all companies, or is it something where we can be like, okay, this is our expectation for support. These needs need to be met?
We did have specific parameters for support, and a lot of it was based on stuff that we heard during the visits and also my own experience in the RFP.
Okay.
And so when that is signed, that Paul does have to comply with that. And they were essentially beefed up to ensure that the lead, you know, Paul as the winning candidate would have to perform better, and their warranty was beefed up as well. Of course, in the end, their warranty doesn't really matter that much for their membranes because they just work so well.
And you're confident in Paul. It sounds like you're
Yeah.
confident in the result.
Yeah, I really think you guys have the best.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm very, very, pleased with these results. I think, again, what surprised me is that the costs were so competitive, because that's another thing that Paul over the years hasn't been that competitive on. They've been significantly higher than some of these other manufacturers, but they seem to be bringing their costs back in line.
Where do they source from? Do you know? Sorry.
What country? Or
Yeah.
they are sourced out of Japan.
Okay. That's
And
what I thought.
so are the membranes for the Tory membranes for Westech. And then the membrane for Memcore comes from Australia. And in many of these plants, it's not uncommon that they'll have, a maintenance issue or something that needs to be dealt with, and some of them will show up the next day. They've just flown in from London, or they've flown in from Australia, or other places, or Japan, to deal with the problem. And that's very common. So they're kind of all international companies in that regard.
Sorry, another question. Do you think in your discussion with them, because how many have they created here in the States? Did you say like 20?
22.
22?
They have 22.
Okay.
Actually, they have more than 22 installations in Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. But actually, they probably have double or more that amount. It's just that we had a specific criteria for each of those installations. They had to be at a minimum capable of delivering 1 million gallons a day, with at least half of them, 4 of them being able to deliver over 2 million gallons a day. And Paul by far exceeded those requirements. Westech could not even come close to it.
Anything else? Councilman Tindall?
No, I move to award the contract for our wastewater treatment plant membrane water filtration system to Area Filtra Paul.
I have a first
Second.
and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you, Ed.
your help, and thank you for answering those questions for us. We do appreciate your thoroughness, and we're excited to move forward on this project with you guys.
You're absolutely welcome. So thank you too, and we'll bid you good night.
Drive safe. Next, we have a sponsorship request from the EHS Booster Club. Do we have a representative here? Audience, you want to come forward?
Hello. I guess I'm just here to answer any questions you might have. My name is Helena Snyder, and I'm the treasurer of the EHS Boosters Club and the chair of the Senior Grad Party Committee. And I have a fellow Grad Party Committee member with me as well, Tyra Baird. And we are asking for some financial assistance in order to be able to provide a safe and alcohol drug-free graduation party for our seniors. Currently, we have 123 that are slated to graduate. And you spoke about graduation rates earlier this evening, and I would hope that you would consider that support to see that we have those graduates have a fun last party together.
Councilman Timber?
So I have experience with this night, how what it means to the students. I have 2 two graduates from Estacada High School that both attended. Can you just explain to the rest of council what this night is about, what it means to the students, and the kind of things that a typical senior can expect?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, I have had two as well. My last one is a senior. So essentially, this is a night where after the fireworks show that happens, they will hop on a bus. They will be going to a secret location that only we know, and they will be participating in a lot of variety of activities. We have a casino game room where they can essentially try to win some money to win prizes. There's a swimming pool that they will be able to kind of relax in. There's a game room where they can play video games, a room where they can just kind of chill and relax. Let's see, I'm trying to think. Oh, there's a climbing wall, that's right. We wanted, yeah, pool table. Yeah, there's even something we really don't want to even say right now because we don't want to spoil it for the seniors. But something special that they've never had before as well. So I hope that answers your questions.
Yeah. So just having, like I said, having two students that experienced, this, it's a great opportunity, and it takes away, it captures our students and gets them out of these, typical senior parties. It gives them an outlet, gives them a place to go, an experience that is beyond, anything that I experienced growing up. And also in the past, it's given them, students have gotten, prizes or whatever that basically help them move towards, college and life after high school. And I wanted them to explain that just because, going through it twice with my students, with my kids, it's a great opportunity. And I think they're asking for too little money. I personally would like to max out the donation, but again, this isn't my decision alone. So I wanted you guys to hear what, the opportunities that these kids have, the experience they're going to have. And I'd just like you guys to take that into consideration, raising the amount that they ask for so little. And there's just so much that they can do with even the $1,500 that we would allow. So.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Councilman Tumbush, for expanding on that and helping explain to us more what's going on. Two, thank you so much for including us in this. It's important to this council to be involved with the kids and the community. And the school is definitely a priority to us, and having a strong and working relationship. And I understand that you guys are outside of the school district. However, I do appreciate parents stepping up and filling the void, and volunteers stepping up and filling the void to help kids not make mistakes right out of the gate from that. My question is not related to my decision on this. This is just for informational purposes. What's the attendance like on that? You said you have 120. How many would you anticipate of them showing?
Well, no, I don't. It's ever since, and I don't like bringing this up, but ever since COVID, it's been building years.
Okay.
Our graduating class this year is larger than last year, and it continually is growing. We have essentially, I guess, budgeted for 100. I would love to see 123. We do offer it as well to those that are homeschooled, those that go to Summit as well. So that number could even increase further. We just know about the ones that are at Estacada High School, which is currently at 123. And so we're already, I guess, marketing it with the students and the families, trying to get them to buy their tickets, because we do also charge for the students to attend. We do offer scholarships for them as well. So we hope to have 123, if not a few more.
Okay. What does the council feel about what Councilman Tumbush was saying about increasing this? And we have 7,500. What would have been left?
Right.
Is that correct, Sadie?
Yes.
Okay. What do you guys even? I'll leave it there. What do you need?
That's a loaded question.
Yes.
I can say at the venue itself is $7,300. The EHS Boosters Club has committed to $4,100 of their own funds. So we are essentially still trying to fundraise to come up with that remaining 3,000. Plus, we would like to get prizes. We have a couple of other things, food as well, to feed them while they are at the venue. It's open-ended. We are seeking other donations from other sources as well. And I even have a QR code if you're interested in donating yourself as well.
So they mentioned scholarships. There is a cost to the students to attend this, but the more money, the more funds that are raised, the more opportunities that the students have to get these scholarships to, to help them attend this program. So I'm gonna start with, did you have a question?
I just wanted to say I agree with raising it. I think this is important for the kiddos and yeah.
Councilman Dozla? No.
I'll support whatever motion comes up.
Okay.
Well, I just think any opportunity we can do to support them is a no-brainer, but I would really hope that we would be able to have a way to convey our convictions as far as our gratitude towards them for putting in that effort and showing up too, just as well as we should show up for them. So yes.
Councilman McElroy.
How much are the tickets?
$60.
And were there
Student.
any kids that were seeking sponsorships last year that weren't able to get in?
No, we gave
Okay.
a scholarship to everyone.
Everyone wants them?
Question.
I just want to see if we maybe sponsor some kids directly, but if that no one.
Yeah,
I'm-
we don't
I'm
want to
full-
turn anybody away.
Yeah, I'm in full support of upping it to 1,500.
Okay, well, kind of sounds like I oversold. I came in too strong. I didn't need to. So it sounds like we're good with increasing this amount to 1,500. I would need a motion, please.
Move to approve the sponsorship request to EHS boosters in the amount of $1,500.
Second.
Got a first, got a second. Let's go roll call on this, please, Sadie.
Counselor Blevins,
Yes.
Counselor Dolzall,
Yeah.
Counselor Hill,
Yes.
Counselor McElroy,
Yes.
Counselor Metcalf,
Yes,
Counselor Tenbush.
a strong and grateful yes.
Motion passes.
Motion passes.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much for
Really
what you
appreciate your
do for the
support.
community. Good luck on the rest of your fundraising. Please leave some of your QR codes behind so we can share.
More than happy to.
And
Thank you.
feel free to email me. I know Tyra has my email. We can put it in the city's newsletter too.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you
Oh,
guys
ro-
again so
ro-
much.
Are we able to share that online?
Yes.
Like us as individuals? Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, next on council business is the Park Master Plan Contract Negotiation. Elena.
Yes. So as you know, last year we applied for a grant to update the Parks Master Plan. We are awarded that grant, signed the grant contract in December, issued the RFP. We received 6 proposals. And the proposal review committee met and reviewed all those. And they felt that the best one was Greenworks. They just met last week. We haven't had a chance to negotiate the contract, but we really feel that Greenworks will be the best. They'll fit within the scope of what we're looking for to update the Parks Master Plan. And so we're asking you to authorize staff to negotiate the contract.
Okay, does anybody have any questions on this? Councilman Dolza.
I went through all the proposals and I was forced ranking as I was reading, and Greenworks stuck out. So I fully support that.
Same.
Yeah, they've done work here in the city before too. They were the contractor who did Wade Creek Park Phase 3. They designed that. So
So it sounds like we got familiarity.
yes.
Proof of work, which is important to us, making sure that the contractor meets our desire or designated aesthetic as well. So I like that. Can I get a motion?
I move to approve the recommendation of the review committee and authorize staff to proceed with contract negotiations with Greenworks.
Got a first
Second.
and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Lastly, second consideration on ordinance 2026-001, an ordinance amending chapter 2.20 Park and Recreation Commission of the Estacada Municipal Code.
We've already discussed this and if, I don't think we need to, I think they did a really good job, you know. Is everybody okay with me just making a motion?
Yep.
Okay, I move to approve ordinance 2026-001, an ordinance amending chapter 2.20 Parks and Recreation Commission of the Estacada Municipal Code.
Got it first?
Second.
In a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Oh, aye. That brings us to our second citizens and community comments. Say, do we have any online or any at all? Nope. Yeah. Awesome. Mayor and council report. Going to go ahead and start this off with Councilman Blevins.
I just want to thank everybody for coming. Bren already left. Thank you for giving the invocation. Thank you, chief, staff, council. I just want to recap what Counselor Tenbush said about volunteer recruitment. We do have openings. We need to start filling those openings. So however we can pretty it up. The school grounds, after hearing about the safe routes to school, needs a lot of work. We need to push the lighting. We need to push the infrastructure when it comes to sidewalks and really start talking to our neighbors and friends, because it sounds like the parents are pretty bad about their driving and their speeding and everything. So I think that's more of a communal thing. We need to start helping one another out on that. And that's all I have.
Really appreciate the staff. These packets are just mind numbing sometime, but it's that kind of detail you got to go through. And like that filter or the membrane thing, it looked like Greek, but you know, it's important to go through that stuff, and really appreciate the effort that goes into putting all that stuff together, and then all the park master plans and just everything. I mean, I really appreciate the thoroughness of the packets. I agree with Councilman Blevins that this safe route thing, it's coming up every single time. And I can't remember who I was talking to, but basically the T from, you know, Main Street, you know, almost by the hill. So say like Second or maybe even further down, all the way to Sixth, and then the T from like Cemetery down to Broadway, if not even further, and light it up. You know, make it look like the Super Bowl, or embellishing, but a lot of work. And I'm not sure, I don't know what about the costs involved, but I'm not sure why we're not doing that now. Because it's been coming up almost every single meeting for, it seems like a year. Yeah.
We did contract with PGE for them to install lights on the poles, some of the poles where there is existing power poles. So if they're not up yet, they will be up soon around the school.
Okay, and then the intersections with the flashing, whatever it takes, but you know, the community has spoken, and we just need to get that part done. And then again, appreciation to everyone that participated and or is paying attention at home, and then just working with you guys again. It's always a great pleasure. Everyone's got a different point of view, and I think it improves the end product that we get out of here. So thanks.
Makes it short and sweet because I'm choking. I'm getting all choked up over this. Thank you very much, Miss Melanie, and Mayor, thanks for stepping in for him tonight, because everybody's getting sick. All I can say is wash your hands, hand sanitizer, pray, and yeah, stay home if you need to. But on a serious note, I'm really proud of our school district. I've been following them for many years now that I've lived here, and they're very proud, and they should be. They've worked their little heinies off, and I appreciate the boosters helping as much as they do over the years since I was a kid. Like, you hear boosters, you know automatically what it is. It's the cool crowd, you know? And I just, through my own trials and tribulations with being in school and having my issues, I love the fact that no matter what, and I love the question that you asked, is nobody's turned away. And I think that's really important. So with that being said, I'd love to hear, I want to know the special place they're going. But maybe I'll get a chance to talk to you later, but thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. Your work is not unnoticed. It's not always easy to push through because I know times are really hard for a lot of people to make effort and time for other people. And it's pretty emotional and I commend you. Thank you. And is there a way for us to bring up the incident that happened with the gentleman who got hit in the intersection to share with PGE? So that maybe they understand that it's like an ongoing issue?
I mean, we could share it with them. I don't know that that'll increase the timeline. I think part of it is just ordering the materials.
Yeah, the reason I ask is
Yeah.
because it's like we're beating the dead horse. It's sitting right here for months now. And that's one incident that could have been really bad. It's bad that it happened at all, but still, they're children.
Yeah.
And it's like, at what point? I don't want to speak that into existence. I'm not going to say it, but that's where we're getting at. And it's hard. It's hard to witness. And it's like, people are like, well, why can't you guys do anything? Well, we're trying. And I don't know what that bit of information that's missing and lacking thereof that stops that from happening. So I'll pass it on.
Just want to thank everyone for coming out. I had the opportunity to drive by the middle school for the first time in the evening and see the new lighting coming off of the school itself. And that was fantastic. And all the new lighting on the poles. I thought that was a great step in the right direction. And for the 3 intersections that were pointed out by Jim Moriarty, I'd be interested in bringing that up on council business to discuss if any of those aren't already being addressed, of how we could get those addressed for them, maybe in the next couple of meetings. So thank you everyone for coming out tonight.
Councilman Tindall. Again, thanks everybody that came out tonight. Thank you staff for an amazing job as always. I really appreciate, being part of this council for, this is my 8th year. This particular council, actually going through the packet. I've been on councils where we spent more time sitting up here with the presenters or staff answering questions that the answers were already there. They were in the packet. I really appreciate this council's doing the due diligence of reading the packet, going through the packet. It really makes, and it makes for more intelligent questions, more, it makes for, if you go through the packet like we do, and it makes for better questions to the presenter or to staff. So I really appreciate that. Onto the lighting issue. So I do appreciate the lights above the street, but the thing we have to take into consideration is those trees that are below the lights are going to be filling in. So what we really need is pedestrian level lighting on the school side. I know we can't necessarily do it on the house side because of light pollution and how it's going to affect those homes, but on the school side, if we, I don't know if it's something we'd have to partner with the schools for or what, but we need definitely pedestrian level lighting, more than overhead lighting. Because that's going to make the biggest difference is pedestrian level lighting on that street, around the schools. So that's my input, as far as the lighting goes. But again, I appreciate everybody, appreciate the work that we put in and the conversations that we have. So thank you.
Can I clarify, when you say pedestrian level lighting, are you talking about the lights here on Main Street and Broadway, or are you talking about
No, I'm talking about lights like this. I think that is what, lights, the light poles we have are what we need up there. It's been a few years, but I was part of a cohort for the Ford Family Leadership Foundation, and our goal was to light up that auditorium area because it's still so very dark there. And I think we went the wrong route with the ground level lighting. I think if we would have went with our original plan with pedestrian level lighting poles, we wouldn't be having this conversation as much as we are now. So I think that is what is needed up there.
more than just having PG install lights on every lamp. But even though that is definitely helping, but those trees are going to fill in and it's going to block a lot of that light.
Awesome. Well, you guys kind of took a lot of what my feedback would have been. I wish the mayor well. I hope that he starts to feel better, and any of the other members in the community that are suffering from any kind of ailment or illness right now currently. We'll just send them positive vibes and prayers their direction and wish for a speedy recovery. Thank you to all that attended, both virtually and in person. Again, thank you so much to the Booster Club for giving us the opportunity to put our money where our mouth is and support you guys. And I hope that you see our gesture as the way that this council and the leadership of the citizens in this community, vision is for the future, and how much we do appreciate the youth and the future of our community as they go forward. And so just thank you so much for that opportunity. Chief Tenaway, thank you for being here tonight. And thank you so much for doing. We've had a lot of conversations that result around talk, but you do. And that doesn't go unnoticed, and it's been seen in this community, and we greatly appreciate you. So please convey that to your officers as well, please. Mr. Moriarty, thank you for always being thorough. I do appreciate it. It's nice to know that you, even without a vested interest necessarily, are always out there on the forefront, walking around these schools, beating us up redundantly on what we're missing. I appreciate it because it's that kind of thoroughness and that kind of detail that's going to make sure that we do the best that we can to provide these kids. And again, put us in a place to be actionable towards results and tangible results for the community. So thank you very much for coming forward tonight and sharing. And for all the members of the community that were a part of that study, thank you so much for that. We do really appreciate you guys as well. Thank you to the staff for preparing this packet. It was awesome. I got mine late, but I was able to read through it and understand it. I will admit that the water membrane thing was a little alien to me. It was really cool to have Mr. Hodges come up and be able to explain that and see where we got that. And I thought your guys' questions on that was really thorough. And I love that this council can have these conversations and we can dig into this and beat these things up so that we have these answers if our community members want to know. We know how we're spending our money. We're very involved in this process. I would like to see updates on, again, available space coming soon, like on where we're at with like the commercial space that we talked about as far as what that availability looks like. And then also, I think we talked about the park space, kind of taking inventory of what is available that we could look at. I know that it was briefly mentioned, but I would like to see something on that so that even though we're in the planning position, we are still moving both arms forward at the same time, doing that jive. That way it's not just create a plan, it's create a plan with an action right behind it. So thank you guys for your continued hard work. I do appreciate it, and it doesn't go unnoticed in that facet either. And with that, I would like to also remind you, please continue to be excellent. We are the example that we want to see in the world. Now more than ever, your example matters. I walk around this community or run or jog or ruck or however you want to say it in different facets every morning. And I'm encouraged because I see other members of the community out. I see different people out exercising in the gym. I see different people helping people cross the road sometimes even. This community is so involved and it takes care of itself. And it's really a point of pride for me. And it's something that I'm very, very proud to say that I'm from here because of this. So please continue to be the standard of excellence that you wish to see in the world, because nobody's coming to save us. And with that, I adjourn this meeting.